There's a saying that goes, a reason, a season, and a blessing. And I give gratitude for every person that I've crossed paths with that has taught me something, which is every person.
All the women, resilient women, you can use the words resilient, strong, perseverant, very focused. Everybody faces a challenge. And what is the common thread? People, it's a mindset shift, isn't it? And that's when life starts moving.
When I get to serve my clients and the world around me, it's when I have patients of mine that come to me and they will say, you have supported me to be a better version of myself. You've supported me to heal. You've supported me to draw closer to why I'm here. What is my purpose? I think one of my favorite things is when I'm told, you make a difference.
Welcome to Her Own Narrative, and today I'm joined by Denielle, all the way from South Africa. And this is going to be a one happy conversation because guess what? She's a global happiness coach. Welcome, Denielle.
Thank you very much, Neety. It is awesome to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Right, let's just start with what do you do? Who is Denielle and what does she do?
So, Denielle is a multifaceted human being with many areas that she exposes herself to, plays within, and impacts. I suppose I could start by sharing my title, where that came from. I am CEO and founder of a wellness business called Lumière, means light in French.
Yes.
And why I started this business is because it's rooted in my purpose, why I've been put here on planet Earth. And what that is, and linked to happiness consultant and life coach, is to support people to spiritually, physically, intellectually, soulfully, emotionally heal. And I do this via 4 specific offerings. It's through Reiki healing 1 and 2, in person and distant. It's through Ikigai purpose coaching. I run curated movement workshops called From Medication to Meditation, as I believe all the medicine that we really need can be found and unlocked from within. And then the 4th is I have an online 7-module short course called The Present You Desire, which provides my learners with tools and techniques for how to bring themselves back to every present moment, because that is where reality lies. And through these service offerings and the creation of my business, why I said happiness coach and consultant is because I support you to unlock your inner self, to find your purpose, your peace, your joy, your alignment, to live a happy state of being. So I think that is that part of my life in a nutshell, but I'm also a professional athlete. I'm a pole fitness competitor and performer for the last now almost 6 years. I love to paint. I volunteer weekly at an organization called the Society for Animals in Distress. I love to spend time with interesting people. I love to be the least smart person in a room because I love to learn and expand and be taught. I would say I am a continuous learner of life.
I
Yeah.
absolutely, wow. So you are definitely multifaceted. That's gorgeous. And also what you just said, something interesting, that you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. And that's a very, very, very insightful thing to say because if you're the smartest, there's no room to grow, right? So very nice. So tell me, you've been working as a social media strategist for about 14 plus years. And from there to become and take this leap of faith, what part of that story led to that?
Great question, because the two don't necessarily seem aligned, right? I, yeah, I was part of a global organization in South Africa for about 3 years, and then I got an opportunity to move through to their Middle East office. and to run the marketing, etc., for a beautiful portfolio. And then I was let go. The company was going through major transformation and restructuring. And I was, at the time, which I thought was unfortunate, I was unfortunately one of those people. So what do we generally do once we've lost, or, we're out of a job? We look for another one. And I applied to, I don't even know how many hundreds of companies, roles, positions, etc., but nothing was landing. I would get to the second or the third phase of interviews, or the process, I suppose, and then just be met with, sorry, we've decided to go with somebody else. So I realized, okay, well, if this is what's happening in tandem, let me learn something new. And I was gifted with a Reiki course and certification. I was introduced to the Thinking into Results program by Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher, where they teach you about the power of your mind and thinking into results, a life you would want to appreciate and enjoy. So I did that for about 3 months of learning, and again, movement, etc., has always been a part of my DNA. So I started to run these workshops based on breath work and present techniques and body awareness, etc. Again, linked to my personal athleticism and physical upkeep. And then I suppose the online course that I have kind of came about as a result of the other three offerings, or the other three parts of my life that I was exploring. And I went, oh, wait a minute, this could actually be a course that I package and I put out there for people to purchase and learn from. And then when I took the biggest step back, I went, hang on a second, I actually have a wellness business. I have a full scale service offering that links and ties into the other as a whole being unit. So I thought, oh, well, let me register this business. So that was in 2024. So I'm now in my third year. And that is, in a nutshell, what happened.
And you know what I hear in that is there wasn't, of course, there would be moments where there's doubts creeping in and like, why am I not getting a job? And what is wrong with me? And why is anybody else chosen over me? Yeah, all those things. But at the same time, I can also see the perseverance, the resilience, and saying, I'm not giving up. Let me give it another go. Let me try something different. I hear risk taking. I hear vision. I see aspiration, right? So here's a question for you then. If someone would tell you a story in one line, what would it sound like?
That is such a great question. And I think the one liner would be, she has an exceptionally high self-preservation drive.
Wow. Wow. That actually has got me shivers there. Wow. Self-preservation. That's huge. Where does that come from?
Yeah. To be honest, as I love to live by the policy of honesty, a therapist. It's a therapist in my life. Where it comes from is, you're right, being met with what one would perceive or receive as rejection is not for the faint-hearted, especially when you're going through it, right? To constantly have to pick yourself up, face a no after no after no, to eventually be pushed in a different direction. It speaks volumes. But I suppose that particular phrase is, through every chapter, if I could call it that, of my life's journey, I've never given up on myself. What do I mean by that? Is that when something was wrong, I was always willing to have a higher curiosity factor about myself to interrogate why further, not just interrogate it, but really sit with specialists or people that know more than me to understand what was going on inside in order to drag myself through the trenches, or what felt like it, to navigate it more effectively, efficiently, to come out on the other side. And that's never stopped. I suppose even if I look at myself today for how I take care of myself, I have a generally very healthy diet. I'm highly active. I drink 2 liters of water a day. I don't consume alcohol or substances or caffeine or processed sugar, and it's not to say that I came out the womb like this, but it's very intentional, and it's not an easy road, because temptations or the mind or comfort factors or just giving into what the feelings are driving. But the high self-preservation side comes through so much stronger to say, but is this going to serve you and elevate you, or is it going to provide that temporary relief and release and then deflate
So
you?
it's that
But
interrogation and being aware and making that intentional choice. And how do you get to
absolutely,
that?
it's oh wow, that's another great question. Interestingly enough, I had a similar discussion with somebody earlier today. And the turning point had to have been because therapy has been part of my life since I was age 5.
Oh, wow.
And from a traditional sense, yeah. I'm very, very good friends with therapy. I'm a firm believer and advocate
Very
of
good.
what it can
Very
support
good.
and
I
all.
feel, and I've said that before as well. I think therapy in itself, the word will probably change as we go along. It's basically having that
Yeah.
someone is your confidant and you just talk to that person and becomes a buddy, but also aligns and redirects and, not even redirect, just gives you some direction kind of a thing. So sorry for interrupting. Go for it.
No, not at all, because you make absolutely valid reflection points, Neety, in that they also provide tools, right? It's a sounding board that is objective. They don't know you, but they're there to listen and interrogate and ask the right questions and provide certain tools. Um, and I think that was the beauty and the privilege of the journey to get to the intentional space, is that with the high self-preservation drive, the therapy, the tools that came out, I was able to eventually meet spiritual healers, shamanic healers, hypnotherapists, therapists of a different kind, right? Who helped me to delayer and shed the parts of myself that really weren't serving me, to get to the root cause of why I was feeling, behaving, responding in the ways that I was. It was to clear my trauma, along with somatic healers, etc. And through that delayering process and getting closer to the core of who I am, very much took a shift of a journey of intentionality to go, but I love the way it feels when I heal another layer of myself. I love how it feels when I get closer to my core, or I better understand myself. I definitely love how it feels when I put into my being, whether it's food, whether it's what I'm reading or listening to, absorbing emotionally. I really do prefer when it feels better for my being in the truest aligned sense. And therein came this life that some might call quite prescriptive and boring, but unlocked a side of myself that I can't deny, that through intentionality, it makes me a better person. It supports me to not only further live my purpose for myself, but the extension of why I'm here for others. So don't know if that answers the question.
You just use the word boring, right? So that's not your own word. That's been, again, you've heard those words from people, right? But again, does that, do those words then become your identity? And how do you actually go and break that shackle of someone else perceiving you the way they're perceiving? That's one thing, that's their perception. But how do you actually say, no, I'm not going to get sucked into that perception of theirs. I'm not going to let that affect me. So, sometimes it's very easy. If somebody calls me boring, I think, oh my boring. What do I need to do to become that fun, interesting person? Does that hijack my identity?
Wow.
What do you do in that case?
I am human, so yes, words have impact. They have an effect, right? And initially, it would have me behave in ways not aligned to myself in order to make myself more exciting to an
Mhm.
external audience. And then I realized, hang on a second, but if my tribe is aligned and who I'm surrounding myself with and where I'm surrounding myself and placing myself is aligned, that's not how it would be interpreted. That was one side of it. So I had to reassess the spaces, the places, the people, right? Um, that was one component. The other component was actually understanding for myself that in my 20s,
Hmm.
I would classify myself as boring. But for myself today, my levels of excitement and what makes me more joyful, more peaceful, more thriving, more in my vibrational frequency that I'm meant to be in looks different. It feels different. So my sources of joy have become different. So it became an assessment of the external alongside the assessment of the internal, going, how do I marry the two? So that even if the word boring is used, that is merely somebody's perception, exactly like you're saying. But how is it that I understand for myself? How do I feel about the word boring? I kind of turned it on its head to go, I interpret the word boring as consistent, as soul fulfilling, as nurturing, as alignment, as growth. I had to rephrase and reframe the word boring to take it from a negative into a positive, going, thanks very much. I really appreciate that.
I really like. Did you have to
Yeah.
let go of certain people to? Yeah.
100%. 100%. There's a saying that goes, a reason, a season, and a blessing. And I give gratitude for every person that I've crossed paths with that has taught me something, which is every person. And that there was a season and a time, and the blessing of having it for where it was. Um, so moving away from some of those meant I could give it peace and love and respect and gratitude and say thank you very much, but it's now time for me to move on. And more often than not, it's, you don't even need to have those conversations. It kind of just
It's just
does it itself. You end up going in different directions
that's it. When
inevitably.
you're not aligned, it's not going to happen anyway. So that's great.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. And what you just said, how you turn that negative word used for you into a positive connotation in your head and made peace with it and got your happiness rather than trying to fight it. That's great. Um, so I have this one for you, right? If after this whole story, if there are three words that describe you, who you are today, what would those be?
Aligned, content, thriving.
Amazing. Now, those are the three words everybody wants to be, right? We all want to be that. What is what would your advice be to a woman who is feeling lost, who doesn't know where to start? And that could be any circumstances, right? That could be in a job, in a relationship, or within herself. Doesn't know where she belongs anymore, doesn't feel she's expressed anymore, she's fully expressive. She is basically, because I hear this, especially when we come into the middle age of our lives, this happens more often that you do feel like you don't belong, or you feel lost, or you've lost your identity. How do I shift that lost to those three beautiful, aligned, thriving. What was the third one? What did you say?
Ooh,
That's gone deep, hasn't it?
I would share. Yeah, that's quite a deep question, and it's quite a loaded one because again, each of us are carrying different layers and weights or our journeys, right? But for the most part, I would share sit with it, sit in it, don't run from it. If that is the space that you're in, it's calling you to sit with yourself. And what do I mean by sit with yourself? It means when there's a feeling, if it's a feeling of being disheartened or feeling low or feeling despondent, whatever the feeling might be, ask yourself the questions of why. Um, we are so often looking to cover that up or run from the feeling because it's uncomfortable or it's not where we want to be. But to better identify and understand why you are feeling that way holds such power for you. You journey through and with it versus around it, which compounds inevitably. It will come back to bite you. And to do this, you are not alone. I hope everyone could hear that they are never alone, nor do they need to walk the journey alone. There are many free online platforms, resources, people. The online world is a playground to research and find what you're looking for to get perspective and help. I mean, on our mobile devices alone, we're able to use a plethora of apps, etc., that can provide us with that perspective to work through what you're going through. The other thing I would share is, in order to have an inkling of where you would like to go, it would help to bed that down. So if you are in a space right now and it's not where you would like to be, or you don't feel good about it, visualization is such a powerful technique in putting it down on paper to be able to see, okay, if it's not this, then where would you like to go? What would you like it to look like? Take yourself out of how you feel right now and draw, write words for the world within and external that you would prefer to see. And from there, you could even start to create a little strategic map for the little pieces that you would need to put in the work for to get there. For example, if I want a six pack, okay, if I had the money, etc., I'm pretty sure then I could have that surgically done. But in the natural, more rewarding way, in my humble opinion, would be to put in the work of your diet would need to change. You would need to exercise. You would need, coaches and guys to give you different techniques because the body adapts really quickly. So you would need to change it up. And so it would be building blocks and steps for how you are wanting to get yourself from here today. Again, no man or woman is an island, so seek your support and your help. I suppose the other really important hygiene check are your thoughts. When you speak to yourself internally, or if you speak out loud to yourself, whichever is your preference, how are you speaking to yourself? Are your words elevating you from within, or are they depleting you? Do they make you feel worse about the situation, or how you are feeling? And I think another critical component, and it ties into what I shared, was what is the external spaces, or what are the external spaces, places, and people that you surround yourself with, because it does matter. We are creatures of energy and vibration, and science and biology will tell you that frequency is a thing. So what you are choosing is choosing you. I think so. In a nutshell, that's a very deep question, Neety. Wow, thanks. But I think high level, yeah.
So for me to summarize this, you said don't run from your emotions. If you're feeling lost, sit with it, interrogate. Why are you feeling lost? What is not making you feel right? Right? And even if it could be the other way as well. If you're feeling ecstatic, sit with it and then find out what is making you so joyful, because that is something you need to keep doing, right? Then
Absolutely.
visualization, who you want to be. You said, write it, Draw it. Put the words there. Be kind to yourself. Say the right things you want to hear. Affirmations. And then the fourth thing you said is your tribe. And all these four things I actually stand by so powerfully, because these are the four things that can completely change your life. All the women, resilient women, you can use the words resilient, strong, perseverant, very focused, but everybody faces a challenge. And what is the common thread? People, it's a mindset shift, isn't it? And that's when life starts moving. Because somebody, you moved country, you moved countries to have a different career, but it was a setback. And that setback could be something, your story for the rest of your life. And you sit with that story and say, oh, this is what happened to me. But you chose not to. You chose to rewrite your story very powerfully. That's amazing, Danielle. Really, really amazing. And this is why I do this, because I'm so lucky to be surrounded by women like yourselves who can turn their stories around, who have the power to say, I want more. I'm not going to let anything beat me.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. We've spoken about the four things and how to turn your life around and everything, but what does then that bring to you? Would you define that as success? Would you define that as happiness? Would that what when you do all those things to yourself, what does it bring to you?
Success for me is defined more of my internal state of being. I am privileged to have had the life that I have in terms of two parents that love my brother and I incredibly deeply, that have given us exposure and opportunities that are, you know, enriching and have given us different perspectives and the privilege of living the lives that we do. So my goalposts are different. Um, as a child and a young adult, and now an adult that has had this life, my measurement of success is different. Naturally, it is the fortunate privilege, as I've shared, of my internal measure, right, is my mental health, one that supports me to be better and live my purpose further. Is my physical health something that's in check and that I am continuing to grow with and for? Is my diet, my gut health, my water intake, my sunshine intake, my grounding techniques, my measurements of success come personally in those forms. Am I unlocking creativity within myself? Am I learning something new every day? Am I leaning into things that are measured, that are scary, to achieve and defeat in my mind? So that's a personal front. But I think as an external success metric, it's when I get to serve my clients and the world around me. It's when I have patients of mine that come to me, and they will say, you have supported me to be a better version of myself. You've supported me to heal. You've supported me to draw closer to why I'm here. What is my purpose? Or I think one of my favorite things is when I'm told, you make a difference. You make a positive and a better difference. And I think that success metric and that reward outweighs pretty much everything. There's nothing like that, because you fundamentally helped another human being to get closer to themselves, to heal, to be at peace, to be content, to be more joyful, to, whatever their goals, etc. are. So yeah, it's an ever evolving and shifting one. I do have, in the material sense, I do have material goals that I'm working towards, naturally, a human being, right? But in terms of what drives me and what I consider success, it's more that.
Amazing. This is my favorite question now. If your younger self is watching you today,
Mm.
what would she think of you right now?
I keep a photo of my younger self in my room, and I see her every single day, and every single day I tell her that she would be so proud. I know she would be. She did and does the work. She shows up. She perseveres. She does her best, and she goes to bed peacefully every single night. That speaks of a clear conscience. And she really is doing what she was put here to do. And there are so many parts of my younger self that are very much alive and activated and nurtured in myself today. Things like dance, things like creativity, things like socializing, things like taking a walk and singing and playing with animals. She would be so proud of the soul and the person that has grown up and gotten to where she's gotten to now.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Because not many people can sit here and say that their younger self would be proud of them today. So it's a lot of work to get your younger self
Yeah.
to be proud of you. And I'm so proud of you that you have made her proud. Well done, you. Bringing that question, taking that question a little bit further, what would you tell your older self now?
Ooh, I have actually never been asked this question in that way. This is so great. Thanks, Neety again. Wow. Never ready. I would like to, off the top of my head, tell her, sit tight, keep going, keep doing what you're doing, keep going. It's nothing to stress or worry about. You're doing great. Just keep going, because you are going to surprise yourself when you look back from that stage to now as to what has happened, just because you kept your focus and that preservation drive to just keep going to see what would happen. So just keep going.
Just keep going. Keep making yourself proud. And that old Danielle, not ever old, but a bit more wiser Danielle would sit there and say, well done, you. I love that. And isn't that what we want every woman or every human being to actually live their
Absolutely.
life like? Does that come down to actually finding your purpose and have that joy on your face, on your in your body, in your soul, to wake up every morning and
Yes.
say, this is what I live my life for? Wow. I'm so proud of you, Danielle. So, so proud of you. Well done,
Thank
you.
you.
Keep going. Even I said, keep going. Spread joy, spread happiness. Thank you so much, Danielle, for being here. It was a great
Thank
pleasure.
you.
If you are someone who's looking for happiness, let's start from you. Sit with it. Find out what is making you happy and what is not. And please follow Danielle and Danielle's work. See what her module is about. The girl is incredibly happy. So find the reasons and find the solutions for yourself. Thank you so much. Keep watching her own narrative, because this could be your own narrative.